to our moon theme. Oh, I'm on mute still? All right, I don't want that. That's tricky. The rev knows. Oh, I hear myself so much better now. So, in case the live streamers missed it, you're at Flrysh. We're here at Granada Hills Center for Spiritual Living, and the theme today is the moon. And so I thought it would be perfect to have a duo tonight called the Blood Moon Howlers come up. So we're going to start off with a song from them called Werewolf in honor of Halloween. Come on up.
Just kidding, that's Hotel California.
Oh, the werewolf, stepping along. Don't even break the branches where he's gone. Once I saw him in the moonlight. Oh, bats were flying. I saw a werewolf, and he was crying, crying. Nobody knows, nobody knows, nobody knows how I love a man as I tear off his clothes, crying. Nobody knows, nobody knows my pain when I see it's risen, the full moon once again. Till the light of day, we are doomed to play. Da-do, da-do, da-do. Ooh.
I'm not muted now, right? Oh, thank you. So, let's see. I get to have the clicker now, so you can put the slides back on. There we go. So Flrysh is about eco-centric creative connection, which is why we can have wonderful artists like you just heard, the Blood Moon Howlers, here on our show. And this month we're focused on the moon. Also, because this is our last live show for the year, because the fourth Wednesday of the next few months falls right in the middle of really big holidays. So watch our Facebook page to keep up with opportunities for the community eco-heroism and inspired action for the planet during the holidays. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, it's easy to start being eco-friendly by starting with this vow. Let's all say it together. I promise to be the best lover and defender of the earth that I can be. So it's easy because you start where you are, you do the best you can, and you move on from there. No judgment. We just try our best. We're also, and that's from the Order of the Sacred Earth that we got the vow. We're also aligned with the IONS community group. We represent the Institute of Noetic Sciences, which connects spirituality and science, and they believe everything is interconnected, as we do. So we're happy to be one with them and one with everything. So this painting, I'm going to sit to talk about this so you can all see it. This painting is really what inspired me to do the show about the moon this month. It's by an artist named Jenny Hahn, and let me see what she says about it. And then I'm going to play you a video so you can meet her, because she's a wonderful spiritual artist. So this painting is called Shanti Luna. Shanti is a Sanskrit word meaning peace or bliss. Luna, in many languages, refers to the moon. And she is the meeting place of darkness and light, nestled in the glow of a celestial body and the solidity of the black, fertile soil. She is the fullness of life, with roots grounded and branches blooming radiant in all directions. The light of the moon is a reflection of her own inner light and wisdom. She is nature in perfect balance. She is wholeness embodied. She is peace. And I was just really inspired. You can't see because of our beautiful ofrenda for Dia de los Muertos, which was provided by Angela Carroll Brown and Margot. What's Margot's last name? Ravel. There's Angela Carroll Brown. Hello, she's ready for the holiday. Woohoo! I think you have to come up because you're dressed for it. Oh, come on. And take a bow for the fabulous Dia de los Muertos skeleton. Angela Carroll Brown, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at that. You look like you're dressed for your orchestra. You are? What's it called? Surreal? The Orchestra Surreal. She's a musician, a wonderful musician who also loves Halloween and related things. So we're glad to have you here, and thank you for the lovely decorations. So now we have a video ready so you can meet Jenny Hahn and see her process, and then see how this painting evolved from blank canvas.
I am inspired by the colors of the sky, the setting sun, colors in nature, the way light reflects off a window. My name is Jenny Hahn. I'm a painter. I love color. It's sweeping movements, sometimes it's dots, but in the creation, it's really about showing up, listening, trusting, and seeing what wants to happen. I often refer to the Joseph Campbell quote of making the inner meet the outer is the function of the artist. All of my siblings are nurses or in the medical field. The act of creativity can be a tool for healing, for self-awareness. I work layer upon layer upon layer, and sometimes the paintings morph and evolve over time, and I never know what the end result's gonna be. I'm just taking one step and then another and trusting. And sometimes it's scary, but inevitably it always ends with something that is bigger than me, that I'm blown away by. I think the fact that I work intuitively and I work from the heart makes me different from some painters. The act of painting is a spiritual process to me. And people my work makes them happy. But when I hear stories of what people see in my work, what it means to them, how it touches them, there's one young man who had lost his mother, and my work resonated with him, had that kind of feminine energy that reminded him of his mother. And so he bought a couple pieces and kind of hung them on the wall around her image, sort of like an altar in honor of her. And that is really moving to me. It's so humbling, because that tells me that my work is making an impact. It's making a difference for somebody. When you look at one of my paintings, you might feel an energy around your heart. My goal is to heal and transform this planet through my art, through my teachings, my workshops, through the images that are created through me. When I'm able to tap something that is beyond me, is bigger than me, and then when somebody else can recognize that and it speaks to them, whatever it is that draws you to my work, it could be a deep connection, or it could be, oh, wow, I love those colors. And I recently completed a commission for a young couple for their 10-year wedding anniversary. They were so moved. They were moved to tears when they saw when I unveiled the finished piece. And what brings them even more joy now is knowing that that image is available in prints and soon to be in poster form, and to know that it'll be all over the world and it was inspired by their love. There is beauty in the world. And, you know, it may not always look like it. And the world ain't always pretty, but there is a sublime beauty within each person. You know, we've got limited time here, and my hope is that you can see that as well. And that maybe if you can't see that, maybe my work would remind you of that.
Yeah, isn't she inspiring? So she does, for a lot of her paintings, she does a process where she starts videoing with the blank canvas. And so we can go right to that video, because I'd love to show you the process of evolution for Shanti Luna. Are you ready for it? Okay, cool. I like how she had the roots come down from the tree and then put flowers all over, and then she kind of dialed it back and added a little bit more roots. And that's one of the things that speaks to me about it, is the rootedness, but it's also blossoming in the darkness and the light. So this season, this Halloween season, is when we start getting longer or shorter days, longer nights, and there's so much mystery and lore around Halloween and the moon. and I'm always inspired by it. That painting actually speaks to me about the femininity of the moon and how the 28-day cycle syncs with feminine cycles. The moon, as you probably know, affects gravity. There's a pull on us and on the earth and on the tides. And I don't know if you've ever noticed how well you can see at night during a full moon. When I was in Sri Lanka, I was part of a sailing group, and we would have full moon sails at night because you could actually see the edges of the lake and where other boats were. Otherwise, you couldn't. And so I think that's how all the ceremony and ritual evolved over time for people who lived in nature, that why not celebrate that you could see each other at night and have a party and, light a fire and dance. So I actually went to a full moon ritual last Sunday, not this past Sunday, the one before, with our next guest, Renee from Winnetka Tower. Come on up. Yeah. So I found Renee on Meetup because I was looking for nature-based spirituality, and I didn't know what Winnetka Tower was. Hello.
And when you find out, please tell me.
It's a place where she holds these very sweet nature-based rituals. And when I called her to ask her to be on the show, I had a lot of questions, and she was nice enough to answer them. So let me find my notes, because I actually, you don't always take notes when you're having a conversation with a person, like in life. But I was taking notes because it was so poetic to me. Maybe people do that all the time with you.
I'm not sure.
So can you hear her? Let's see if
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
We
Good.
can maybe move that closer. Oh, looks like.
Is this okay, Mike?
All right. So welcome, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see, what you want to talk about?
I want to know a little bit to tell them about the full moon ritual I attended, because
Okay.
it was so lovely.
Okay, so most of the people that come to our events identify as pagan or possibly witches, and that could have a negative connotation. When I think of myself as a witch, I think of myself as a person who honors the earth, honors nature, honors the moon phases and the cycles of life. It's about the way I mop my floor. I use orange flower water to mop my floor because orange flower water brings an energy of love. There's a certain, if you just broke up with somebody, wash your mirrors with orange flower water, because that would be the best way for you to fall in love with yourself. And nobody will fall in love with you unless you're in love with yourself.
Where's my pen? I want to take notes again.
I think they're taping it. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's right. We live stream and archive it. Thanks.
I burn candles. Right now I have a friend whose son is in a mental, needs some support for psychological help. And so she called me up and I lit a candle for him with a prayer on it. Now, I am not a religious person. I am a spiritual person. I received Shaktipat from a Hindu teacher who died at 118. His name was Dhyana Yogi Masunadanas. And I really feel like it helps to listen to your intuition. I think that we're all connected. I don't think we're separate. I have religion. The reason I don't like religion is because a lot of times they canonize it and it gets so structured that you have no freedom to move and express yourself creatively. Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I wrote down that I really liked, is you were talking about how the rituals that you do with the group are collaborative, and that you're sort of creating it as you go, depending on the need and the energy in the moment.
Yeah. What we do is, my husband loves to cook, so when you come over and help write a ritual, you get food for my husband.
Pretty good.
He's quite
too.
wonderful. But what we try to do is get people to put their ideas together. And so it might be various different kinds of backgrounds. Strega is an Italian witch. There are British traditional witches. We went and spent the summer solstice up at the Tor in Glastonbury, and I'm going to show you this
I'll
book.
lift the flowers.
I
There
love.
you go.
One of my favorite writers is Marion Zimmer Bradley. Sadly, she passed away. But
And that's who you recommended to me when I was asking, like, what type of witch are you? What is it? I thought the PC version of witch would be to say Wicca, and she told me that that was not the case at all. And she recommended I read Marion Zimmer Bradley to learn what a kitchen witch is.
well, because it's the way you cook your food. It's
Okay.
the way you clean your house. Animals somehow or another find their way into my garden. Winnetka Tower is not a business. I have a day job. I'm a teacher. But we try to get people together to come together, because no matter what spiritual expression, or whether you're Christian or Buddhist or Hindu or whatever, coming together with other people spiritually is what's important. Being connected.
Yeah.
People are afraid that, I'm going to go booga booga booga, do something horrible to you.
See, she did it, though.
But nothing happened. Nobody turned
No,
purple. Did you?
I will attest to when I arrived at Winnetka Tower, it was a lovely patio with twinkly lights and beautiful fabrics draped and couches with cute cushions and a little bit of medieval and some angels, and I think I saw a mermaid. I'm wearing a mermaid skeleton, by the way, right here. The full moon ceremony was saying English words about honoring the moon and being grateful for the light and the season, and then you put some herbs and different nice smelling things in a bowl, and we all took some turn kind of crushing it together. It wasn't gooey, it wasn't stirring, and it didn't look like like that. And then we all got to take home a little bit of nicely scented sort of apple and sweet things. It smells like apple pie, actually, and I took it in a bag, and I've been stashing it in different places in my house just because the aroma is so lovely.
Yeah, well, what it is that when people put their energy together, I'm sure that, when somebody does healing, like a hands-on, no, I mean, just, no,
Yeah.
not like, no, like, don't do it, but
Right.
you could, if I send you positive energy like this with my hand, you will feel it. When people gather together to energize something, whether it be a scented oil or a floor wash, or that was a potpourri, what it does is you bring it into your home so that you can carry that energy of the experience of being together for however long. Because I don't really like the word coven because it's got some bad connotations, but we're not, people come and go as they please. If you come, hi, glad to see you. If you're not here, we miss you, and I like people being able to visit and, express themselves. Sometimes we have drum circles. I have lots of drums. I'm not a musician, I'm a dancer. But I have somehow drums come into my life, and we dance together. But what it is celebrating life. You're talking about the moon. It's not just the full moon that you celebrate. In the dark of the moon, when the moon is absolutely dark, that's where you let go of things that you don't need anymore, because life is cyclical.
Yeah.
And as you said, hopefully it's going to be getting colder. The nights are getting longer, at
Right.
least, but hopefully it will be getting colder and wetter.
Yeah.
But it's all about being able to celebrate the cycle of life and do it in a community. Most of the people that come to our events either aren't witches at all and are curious, or they are what they call a solitary witch, but they want to hang out with other people. And I have a couple of really nice gardens and plenty of places to park, and so it's something that I'm going to do until I don't, which has been over 10 years, so I don't know that I'm going to be stopping anytime soon.
One of the things I really liked is you passed around a little small, it was donuts from Trader Joe's. They were apple spice donuts, and when everybody took a little piece, there was an exchange, may you never be hungry, and then little apple juices, and may you never be thirsty. And so it's such a simple blessing and wish for another human being that connects us all. And it's not spooky or, scary at all. And I felt so light, and everything felt so sweet afterwards.
Well, and there are different kinds of magic. Now, I don't particularly want to bring harm. I think there's plenty of that happening in Washington, D.C. I don't need to add to that trauma, but there are people that will play in the dark, I don't choose to do that. I don't, I'll tell somebody you can't be here because you're not behaving correctly, but I try really hard not to be, there's enough harshness in the world as it is. We don't need to add that to somebody's life. What we want to do is bring people together and lift them up.
One of the things you said in our phone call was that we're making it up as we go along, inventing for ourselves, and we find the magic within and follow that. Like, how lovely is that? And then later, you were talking about you like to keep things organic and trust spirit enough and be intuitive enough to be compassionate. And that control is counterintuitive. Magic needs to be fearless. Like, isn't that good? Wouldn't you have written that down too? It's so poetic. And you also said that you're a Buddhist witch.
Yeah, well,
and,
I don't think they're not
contradictory. No,
they're not contradictory at all.
And earlier the day that I was there, you had some Buddhist monks at your house, right?
I particularly am fond of Tibetan lamas, in particular. I've been initiated to Red Tara, who is there are 21 Taras, and she is the goddess, the Tara that is about sensuality and beauty. I'm quite sure that you'd be very fond of green Tara.
Okay.
We had 6 Tibetan lamas that were from India about 2, maybe 3 years ago, and we were able to we were charging $20 for them to come to the 2 rituals they presented, and they took, I want to say somewhere on the order of $5,000 back to their lamasery, where they were taking in orphans from India.
Oh, wow.
And they did a white Tara ritual and I believe a medicine Buddha ritual. It was the last time His Holiness the Dalai Lama was here.
Wow. And
they went to his college. So the thing is that spirit, Christianity there are lots of Christian witches, there's I think that it's an organic thing. And people have been making up spirituality all their lives. The ritual is mostly to lift people up. And if you are more committed to the structure than you are to the lifting, then then it's not going to produce the result.
Right.
What you want to be doing is raising spirit rather than trying to suppress and control. Control is highly overrated.
Yeah, it always feels like it's going to be a good thing and keep everything in check and make things run smoothly, but it's almost never the case.
When you're dead, do you think anybody's really going to care whether you dusted yesterday or not?
I hope not. Right, yeah.
And the thing is that what you want to do is just be really grateful for the blessings you have. And, when we say, may you never hunger or may you never thirst, we also, a lot of times we'll do a blessing before we pass out. And one of the things that we want to do is wish for us to have enough so that we have enough for ourselves and enough to be generous with others. Because
nice.
the act of being generous is really a wonderful feeling. And then and being willing to receive from another person is also a great gift to the giver.
Yeah, that reciprocal energy cycle back and forth.
When people go, my, it's no fun.
So does anybody have any questions for our lovely kitchen witch? All right, we've got a couple.
Mom.
Speak loudly, so.
They can hear me. When and how did you get into this initially?
Oh, well, I was a San Francisco hippie in the 60s. And we were always very connected to the earth. You know, I used to be a dancer. I toured with rock bands, and it's a very earth-based lifestyle. You know, we were making our own granola, and it kind of led, you know, first it was Baba Ram Dass and the various different spiritual people. And I moved to Los Angeles, I think 40 years ago. And I thought of myself as primarily Buddhist, spiritual. I said I have a patchwork spirituality. You know, and I met somebody who taught me about candle burning, which I like candle burning a lot. It's a kind of magic I enjoy very much because I feel like I can give people energy with it. And this woman taught me about candle burning magic when I first moved to Los Angeles. And I just kept on, you know, I'd learn a little bit from this person or that person. I'm not really, I will borrow from anybody. You know, I don't really, you know, if there's a Christian thing that works, bring it on. You know, if there's a Hindu thing that brings that works, bring it on. I listen to Dhyana Yogi Masunatana's prayers. I meditate to them nearly every day. And he has a prayer that's 45 minutes long that I meditate to. And he calls it the sound of God, or he called it the sound of God.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have you write that down because it has a lot of syllables, his name.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then one day one of my kids said, Mom, you are not just a Buddhist, are you? You know, so they dragged me kicking and screaming out of the broom closet. Yeah.
Where do you get orange flower water?
Any Persian market. You know, John's Market sells it. Valley Produce, it's like $2.29 a bottle. I buy it by the case.
Economical, too.
Thank you. Valley Produce? Wow.
Yeah, well, they sell frankincense. They sell esfand, which is wild rue seeds. And if there's an argument in your house, what you want to do is I use incense burning charcoal. But if you burn esfand, they use it for Nowruz, which is Persian New Year. It makes if it crackles and pops, it means that it's eating the negativity. So I have a big jar of esfand. Somebody is in a bad mood, man. I'm burning the esfand, and then I put like peaceful home incense, you know, because I like to use candles. I like to use incense. I like things to be beautiful. I'm a foot and nose sort of person. So if my feet are happy, so that there's no crud under my feet, they're very well vacuumed, and my nose is happy, I'm generally pretty good.
And those aren't things that are new to the world, lighting candles, the smoke. I mean, it's been used in spiritual and religious traditions since forever. Kathy, you had another question?
Am I on?
Yeah,
I
you're
think
on.
so.
Where do you buy this again?
There's Valley Produce. It's over on Van Owen, a little bit east of Reseda on the north side of the street, and John's Market. I think Super King sells it. You know, you might even be able to get it at like. I don't generally shop at Mexican grocery stores because the produce is better at Persian grocery stores, and I really like my vegetables. So, but
That's
yeah,
interesting.
and rose flower water, that really calms the house a lot, you know. But there's all sorts of wonderful things that you can find locally and very inexpensively. I grow Salvia californicum in my front yard. I plant. I have California milkweed in my front garden, and we probably get somewhere in the order of a couple hundred monarch butterflies because Monsanto has killed off all of the wild milkweed that was in California. So I'm planting it, and we get the monarch butterflies. When I was a little girl, we would drive from San Francisco down to Carmel, and there would be trees covered with monarch butterflies. And that doesn't happen anymore. So it's about the consciousness. You plant basil. There's, I'll give you cuttings if you like, and you can bring them for everybody because this stuff
Okay.
grows like a weed. There's an Africanized basil that grows from cuttings that you can plant. I've had them last 18 or 20 years. I've lived at Winnetka Tower for 25 years. And it's a wonderful plant, but it brings wealth. It's very protective. Sage, of course, is antibacterial. Rosemary is antibacterial, and they say that it plant rosemary for remembrance. And lavender for love, but it's not great for sex.
A handy tip for you all to take
Well,
home.
that lavender sleep pillow, if you're
Okay. Right. Well, if you fall asleep, of course.
You'll sleep.
That's right.
Yeah. But it's all it's getting to know the plants around you. We have pine trees all around our property, and we use the water from our washing machine, and we use phosphate-free
Detergent.
to make it and they're real happy. They're real happy.
Yeah, they're very tall.
Yes, they are, and they were not as tall as I was when we moved in 25 years ago.
Wow. And you showed me where you're doing the Samhain ritual that's coming up, and it's in a beautiful, grape arbor on the side yard.
Built by my handsome husband.
Aw, nice job, Luther. It's very lovely. So if you go on to Meetup and look for Winnetka Tower or...
Pagan 82, I think it's Spiritual 826 now.
Okay. And you can fill out the form and find out all the information to go to one of the rituals at Winnetka Tower. You're also on Facebook, right?
Yes, we are. I've been kind of lazy about posting our events recently. But let's see, generally what we ask is a $10 donation, and I've got to be clear that it's a donation. It pays for the candles and the herbs and all that stuff, and something to share for potluck. And we're not vegan, we're not vegetarian, we're not gluten-free. We're bring something you like. If you're vegetarian, then don't eat the meat. If you are gluten-free, then don't eat the bread. But there's always something there for people to share. And we try to keep it so it's safe.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'd like to see in this world, in our country, is safe. I'd like people to feel safe.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Renee, for sharing and teaching us a little bit to not be afraid of witches. And happy Halloween. And
Happy Samhain.
Yes, thank you. And now let's have a little bit more music from the Blood Moon Howlers. What do you got for us, Matt and Juju? They're like, oh, let me think about it. I didn't notice.
This is a song about coming to church on Wednesday and chocolate. I don't go to church on Sunday. I don't get on my knees to pray. Don't memorize the books of the Bible. I got my own special way. I know Jesus loves me, maybe just a little bit more. I fall on my knees every Sunday, so I'll at least get it started. It's gotta be a chocolate and Jesus makes me feel so good inside. It's gotta be a chocolate and Jesus to keep me satisfied.
Well, I don't want no apples, don't want no almond joy. There ain't nothing better suitable for this pie. The only thing make mine better than a cup of gold. Only a chocolate Jesus will satisfy your soul.
The weather gets rough, it's whiskey in the shade. It's best to wrap your Savior up in cellophane. Flows like a big Murray, but that's okay. Pour 'em over ice cream for a nice parfait. It's gotta be chocolate and Jesus, good enough for me.
For me,
It's gotta be a chocolate Jesus, good enough for me. It's gotta be a chocolate Jesus, makes me feel so good inside.
inside,
It's gotta be a chocolate Jesus, it's keeping me satisfied.
The Blood Moon Howlers, ladies and gentlemen. So I had to look up what a blood moon was because that's what I do. I look things up. And on NASA has a page that's, I think, for kids, but I enjoyed it too. NASA Science Space Place online. And it says one meaning of a blood moon is based on its red glow. So that could happen during a total lunar eclipse or anytime it's reddish because of dust or smoke or haze in the sky. So anytime you look up and the moon looks kind of red, it could be a blood moon, and you might want to howl at it like they do. There's also, if you've heard of a supermoon is because it's just a little bit closer to us in the night sky, so it looks gigantic, and it's just what they call it when it comes closer to us in orbit. And a blue moon, if you've heard people say once in a blue moon, it's pretty rare because it happens when there's an extra moon in a season, an extra full moon in a season with 4 full moons. And it only usually happens every 2.5 years. So in the 1940s, though, it started being used for the second full moon. I'm like doing math in my head. Can you see all the little charts and stuff up here? Second full moon in a calendar month. This usually happens only every 2.5 years. So remember that. That's what once in a blue moon is, 2.5 years. I also looked up Native Americans have a name for every month, the full moon in every month. And I know when I lived in Sri Lanka, the Buddhists celebrate the Poya Day, which is a full moon, and each month has a different name for the Poya Day. I couldn't find a list, but I remember telling Renee and people at the gathering there, this was the VAP, V-A-W? Would it be WAP? That sounds wrong. Full moon, huh? VAP. Or a VAP Poya or something. I have a Sri Lankan in the audience who was there in Sri Lanka with me, so. Okay, well, thank you for supporting Sri Lankanness today. And that, it said it represented a season of sowing. So harvest time is different in different parts of the world where the weather is different, but that's, they were planting there so they could reap later. But the Native Americans, so for this part of the world, the wolf moon, so that goes with your werewolf song, is in January, because that apparently is when wolves come out, and they're very, very hungry. February is the snow moon. March is a crow moon or magpie moon. April, seed or egg. That totally fits in with Christian, Easter and everything. May is flower moon. Mayflower, pilgrims. Maybe the pilgrims didn't know that, though. June is strawberry moon. July is thunder moon. August is Sturgeon Moon, or it could be a red moon. September, Harvest, that makes sense. October is Hunter's Moon. Ooh. November is Beaver Moon. Beaver. Okay. And December is Cold Moon, which is also pretty obvious. Okay, so what do we have? Do I have more slides? I think we'll do another song before we do the final slides. And in the meantime, we're going to take an offering. Is there somebody available to actually take it? So the offering is love offering. You give if you feel moved. It's to support this center and helping us do this program, which is all done by volunteers. And it is like planting a seed, someplace you want to see a flower grow. So we have some lovely volunteers bringing that around. So gather that up while our musicians come up and do whatever song they want to do. What are you going to do?
I think we just changed our mind.
Oh, really? Oh, what are you going to do now, though? I want to know. Oh, I was ready for Long Way Down because we just did, because in Long Way Down, she says, at least the devil takes care of his own, right? And it reminded me of when Elizabeth talked about how much she loved the show Lucifer and had totally binged it on Netflix. And I watched it and really loved it. So I was going to tie that in, but now they're going to surprise me. No, I just said it, so I don't need to tie it in.
Okay.
Do what you're moved to do. Rock on. Yeah.
Now we're doing the other?
Yeah. Do both. Okay, we can do both.
Woohoo! Blood Moon Howlers, everybody!
All right. So this one's Long Way Down. Masquerade, what a lovely disguise. Scheming all the while, he'll lead you to your demise. Gonna take your heart and leave you dismissed. Oh, ignorance is not so bliss, but it's a long way down that lonely hall, empty gravestone, no curtain call. It's a long way down that lonely road. At least the devil looks after his own. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, look at her, such beauty on the outside, barrenness lies, and always with a smile. She won't stop, gonna take you for everything that you got. Oh, hellions strive, can't knock it, 'cause it's a long way down that lonely hall, empty gravestone, no curtain call. It's a long way down that lonely road. At least the devil looks after his own. It's a long way down that lonely hall, empty gravestone, no curtain call. It's a long way down that lonely road. At least the devil looks after his own. At least a long way down. after his own.
So this next tune, you'll know it. But I just recently found out it was a campaign song originally. But what the chorus says is maybe in our tribute to your gatherings.
Here come on, that's up he come, grooving up slowly. He got juju eyeballs in one holy roller. He got hair down to his knees. Got to be a joker, you just do what he please.
He wear no shoe shine, he got torch and football, he got monkey finger, he shoot Coca-Cola, he say, I know you, and you know me, and one thing I can tell you, she got to be free.
Come together right now over me.
He
Back production, he got walrus gumboot, he got on no sidewalk, he won spinal cracker, he got feet down below his knees. Hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease. Come together right now, yeah, over me. Here on the coaster, he got early warning, he got muddy water, he won mojo filter, he said 1 and 1 and 1 is 3. Got to be good looking, cause he's so hard to see. Come together right now, yeah, over me. Come together. Come together, yeah. Come together. Yeah.
Blood Moon Howlers. Thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead, give them more love. So that's our show for this Halloween episode, our last live show of the year. Can I have the slides up for my little thank you slides? That's one of them. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, there we go. It's a little wonky. CSLGH.org is the website for Center for Spiritual Living, Granada Hills. Thank you to everybody involved, Mike and Tamaro Duffy, Michael Carlin back there in our sound and visual booth, Reverend Michael McMorrow, who's the Rev here on Sundays. We've got some other prayer practitioners, ministers, wonderful people. Thank everybody for even coming and being with me. Thank you all. Thanks. Thanks for thanking me. And thank you again to Angela for the Dia de los Muertos decorations, and Margot. Also, Michael and Tamaro Duffy have a website, inyourownvoice.com, and you can contact them about recording meditations in your own voice, because your brain recognizes your voice. So when you say nice things to yourself, you can go to sleep with that and think happy thoughts. So I think it's a wonderful tool. So inyourownvoice.com with dashes in the middle. Blood Moon Howlers. Yay, Matt and Juju. Google them, because I found so many places. Do you have a place you want to recommend that people find you? Instagram, YouTube, yep. Spotify. All right. See, they're everywhere. So Google them. And JennyHahnArt.com is where you can find more from the artist Jenny Hahn, who did that lovely Shanti Luna painting. Renee from Winnetka Tower, thank you so much. And again, you can find her on Meetup or Facebook. And let's say this vow one more time before we go out into the world. Together, I promise to be the best lover and defender of the earth that I can be. Thank you. What? And there are Halloweenish refreshments in the next room, so please stay and hang out and giggle with us. That's Flrysh. Flrysh.net. Thanks. Bye, y'all.